Hey, Minimal Fam, when we started our minimalism journey, we were super excited and motivated to just do all of the things and declutter everything. I mean, that's what we thought minimalism was all about, decluttering so that you have space for more meaningful relationships, for that peaceful home, and just for a better life altogether.
And then our progress started to slow down. We thought we were doing everything right, but we weren't sure why things just started to feel a little bit harder again. Then one night a couple years ago, after we had put the kids to bed, we were looking around our living room and the once decluttered and peaceful space felt a little bit chaotic again. There were toys all over the floor, everything was a mess, and we just shook our head in disbelief.
We had nothing left in us. We felt defeated. And honestly, we were ready to just give up right there. We were ready to just let things go exactly back to how they used to be. But this chaos that we were starting to experience again was the exact reason why we started this journey in the first place. So we knew that we just couldn't throw in the towel just yet. And then we decided, let's dig deeper into this minimalist journey. Let's look deeper than just the decluttering and the organizing. There has to be a practical and attainable way to keep our home peaceful. And so we did. We kept going. And then we realized we were just scratching the surface.
When we first started decluttering, we got rid of so much stuff so we'd be able to actually see the piles of things leaving, the boxes, and then naturally as you start to build momentum, it'll also slow down because you're getting rid of less stuff.
And like she said, something weird happens here. We stopped seeing so much stuff leave the house and we kind of lost a lot of that excitement. And then we got really comfortable, and those minimalist habits that kept our home nice and peaceful just kind of started to fall by the wayside. We stopped paying attention and things started to come in little by little. Not really apparent, not huge, but just enough to slip under the radar and clutter those empty corners again. And what we were learning a couple of years ago was that decluttering is like a small piece of the minimalism journey. It's like the action arm of minimalism. You're actively doing something, you're decluttering, but we started to see that there's a whole other side to the minimalism journey.
And then there's the spending piece. We had our home nice and peaceful and tidy, but we didn't want to look at how we were spending our money. We kept buying things for our home in the spur of the moment, or we would get things for the kids, and then it would be kind of frustrating because all of those things would be back in the area that we had decluttered. We would question why these things were coming back into our home, and then we would argue about this sometimes. Like, I would go to Target and leave with so many things that I didn't even need because it was cute, or I would just browse, and then he would get upset about that because he's like, that wasn't in the budget, or we don't need that. And then I would get upset with, he doesn't purchase a lot of things, but the purchases he would make would be like larger purchases. So it was like not one was better than the other, but then it would accumulate.
Like bam, $1,500 right out of the account.
Yeah.
Big purchases.
But we quickly realized it wasn't the purchases that were standing in our way.
So awareness is key. Simply being aware of the purchases that we were spending really did help us. Budgeting and tracking our spending, all that stuff really did help. But we just didn't know what to do next. We had the information, we saw what we were doing, but we just didn't know what's the next step. And that's when we finally decided we needed to go back to where it all started, our childhoods. We were both raised extremely different, and for me, this is where my mindset about money and stuff began. I was raised in an Indian home with a very different culture and values than Carlene was raised, and my family was extremely frugal. We questioned every single purchase, and we had a lot of unhealthy views about money, which always made me feel like I had to live in a place of scarcity all the time. Now you might think, well, then that probably made you pretty minimal and helped you with your minimalism journey. Well, it was quite the exact opposite. I held on to things as if I was going to lose it. I always felt like I was going to run out, and that made me attach myself to stuff in such an unhealthy way that it really made my room when I was a kid, it was full of clutter. I had things I didn't even know I had, and I held on to things I didn't even know why I held on to. Things that didn't even matter. I can honestly say I feel like I hoarded a lot of stuff. Significant, insignificant, it really didn't matter. And especially when it came to sentimental items. So for me, my trophies, they came with me everywhere that Carlene and I moved. It came from my house to our apartment to our townhouse, and then finally I look back now and I'm like, why did I bring those trophies around? But now I realize I couldn't really define what stuff meant to me. I didn't really have a good understanding of that. When I started to dig deeper, I started to see how I was defining my meaning by all of these things. The trophies defined my accomplishments. The straight A report cards defined my worth. And these designer shoes that I liked, they defined what I was capable of. It was probably about 2 years ago when I was looking into a pair of jeans that I really wanted. I worked at a church and I worked as a worship leader, and all the worship leaders were into the skinny jeans. That was my thing. I mean, it kind of still is my thing, but I don't really have much of that anymore, especially during the pandemic. But I remember seeing all these other guys get these jeans, and I really wanted them. I was like, maybe if I had those, I would feel something. Maybe I would feel like I belonged a little bit more. And so I bought them. And what I realized is I didn't feel anything. They didn't make me feel any more connected to that group of people. They didn't make me feel anything more about myself. Of course, when I first bought them, it was exciting, but you guys know that the high wears off so quickly. At that point, I stopped buying clothes almost completely, and I started to declutter my wardrobe with almost no effort. Like, I wasn't even trying. It was just happening so fast. Honestly, it was almost as if that moment, that realization, was exactly what I needed to unlock the secret to minimizing. It was as if the veils of my eyes were lifted and I could finally see everything that was standing in the way of the life that I wanted for my wife and my kids and myself.
So 4 years ago, we were very overwhelmed by our daughter's bedroom, and we wanted to start this journey and declutter to kind of lower the overwhelm and the chaos. But the deeper reason for that was because we wanted to raise our daughter in a peaceful home. Just like us adults get overwhelmed by having too many things or too many options or clutter or just the house being out of order or chaotic, we felt the same would benefit our daughter. We wanted her to be in a home where it was peaceful, a home where there wasn't so many things all around, a home that she could freely explore every room. And that wasn't possible with the direction that we were going with having so many things. So there is a deeper meaning to it. There is a deeper why. And for us, that is raising our kids to be in a peaceful home that's intentional with our things and to make it more memories than things.
Now we sit together in our living room, we feel something completely different than we did all those years ago. We feel that hope again, we feel that peace again. Yes, things creep back in from time to time, but we feel confident, we feel at ease because we know that stuff doesn't define us, and we know that being minimal isn't something that only certain people can do. Anyone can do it. We can do it, and so can you. And if you're ready to do it, then these videos right here will give you everything you need to get started. Stay minimal, friends, and we will see you in the next video.